What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Camps channel. Today we are flying the T-Motor TRON 80 HD Whoop. Now, this morning I've been flying it in the house, flying back and forth, making some circuits like I normally do, and I can't get batteries charged fast enough for how much fun I'm having with this quad. Like, I am flying the 3S batteries indoors, and I believe I just said yesterday on a review that, you know, an 1103 motor was primarily for outdoors. Well, here comes the TRON 80 proving me wrong. Generally, 1102 is about the largest brushless motor I like to fly indoors. I was flying a 1S Whoop yesterday and the day before. And here I am flying this 80mm DJI version of an indoor-outdoor Whoop on 2 and 3S. And flying it on 3S indoors with a low camera angle, really giving me a nice bit of control and speed. So really nice response on the throttle. I'm able to slow down and kind of stop before I go and make these really tight turns around. Like the lamp over there, you guys have seen me fly that before. I will show you an indoor flight test of this guy, and God, how much fun I'm having with this one. So if you're looking for one with a good tune on here, that is a small size. It's not a 4S quad, but it is 2 and 3S. And at first I was like, 2S, 3S, you know, 4S is all the craze right now. But this one has a lot of maneuverability as far as freestyle, and it has those inverted motors on here. It will do cinema and freestyle, and it also has a secret weapon on here. It has the same type of plastic that we saw on the iFlight ProTech 35. Whatever this stuff is right here, it's really durable, and they have dual reinforcement on the prop guards. Look at that. Dual reinforcement prop guards, inverted 40mm props on here, super smooth, with an AIO board and my CADX camera there in the front. So plenty of protection up front, very durable. And it is a bit of a hybrid frame, so it's not just what I call a hybrid combo of carbon and whatever this polycarbonate stuff is. This might be polycarbonate, but yeah, these little bumpers here, they absorb a lot of shock, and it releases the shock on the outside barrier instead of putting it straight into your props. So that's also keeping your quad flying without flipping a whole lot when you bump into things. So that's pretty cool for indoor stuff. And the battery goes on sideways, XT30 in the back, yada yada. They have the VTX replaced with the dipole, which at first I was kind of like, well, I don't know about that. But when you're running 700 milliwatt indoors, I mean, yeah, you're gonna get great video. So let's go ahead now and let's do some flying, and we'll go outdoors as well. We'll do some outdoor flying with it. I'll show you how it freestyles, and man, this thing is fun. This is like 110% fun. Like, I know I like a lot of quads, but this one is tuned extremely well and is manageable indoors on 3S with 1103. So consider my mind blown. It doesn't happen that often, but yeah, TRON 80 is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and do some flying, and we'll come back in. Here we go. Here we go, maiden flight of the TRON 80. Whoa, crazy bit of throttle there. 1103 on 3S indoors. Yeah, it's gonna take some getting used to right here. So I'm kind of trying to back off the throttle a little bit. You can see those like flashing lights side to side. That's because I have the camera all the way down. And look at how bright the LEDs are. The LEDs are super cool in this quad. If you don't want to see the side to side flashing that you see on the screen here, you can always up the camera angle, and then that sort of comes out of the camera view. So if you're strictly recording your CADX Vista Nebula Nano on there, then that's the way you can do that. But right away, I realized something with this downward facing motor design.
it flies really, really smooth indoors. Like, I left the lamp right where it was all the way back, and I usually pull the lamp out away from the wall a little bit, but I was able to skirt behind the lamp right there. And I can just kind of slow down and just come to a stop with this quad. I immediately wanted to fly it under the couch. And I had that bouncing effect because there's not a lot of clearance on the top of the quad. So when that happens, there's not a canopy, like a traditional canopy above it. It makes the propellers kind of suck to any hard surface. But wow, look how slow we can slow this quad down. And you know, this is my second battery, so every single quad on the channel is different, and you really have to get used to the characteristics of one quad. I always say that a guy who has like a couple quads at the field is probably going to be a better pilot than somebody like me that has hundreds of quads. You guys that are flying the same quads all the time get really, really good at flying them. So yeah, I'm bumping into all kinds of stuff today. It's just one of those days where I just seem to be attracted to chair legs. But as smooth as this quad feels on 3S, I just kept wanting to go around the table and play around with these gaps. If you want to speed it up indoors too, you have tons of control and a lot of power. So you have a lot of boost with this quad. Like, I was having fun just boosting over top of the refrigerator. There, I'm just kind of slowing down around that curve. Now getting on a little bit of speed. Still just bumping into everything today, but down the hallway and catching a corner again. And I'm not editing any of this out. I'm just going to show you like how many things I hit today. I just hit everything. Just one of those days, man. What is going on here? Yeah. I'll come back into the laundry room behind this lamp, and I'm starting to get a feel for it. It slows down a lot, which I love. There's that corner again, getting me again. But once you find the right stick position, this quad really opens up. And there I am, boosting over the refrigerator and just kind of skirting over top of things. And this is a completely different animal than what I've flown on the channel recently. We had some 1S fun on here last week, and we've had recently the Gep RC Tiny Go. If you're looking for a ready to fly type of quad setup with goggles and everything, that's the one to get there. But this is for kind of like the guy who doesn't mind spending, you know, around $250 on a Whoop. But the cool thing is that out of the box, it flies amazing. It's perfect indoors. This is one of the best bind and fly quads around that you can get for indoors with HD on there at this size. So got all quality gear on here. T-Motor is really at the top of their game as far as quality goes. I've reviewed a bunch of T-Motor quads, and like Gep RC, T-Motor just doesn't seem to disappoint me. Their quality, you know, their stuff is a little more expensive, but you know, you got multi-GP racers like using T-Motors out there, so they've always been kind of a name brand in our industry and even in like 3D heli industry. But now I'm starting to get a little better feel for it, and really kind of just ripping around on the throttle a little bit. And it was so much fun to fly. I just wanted to keep the batteries going. I had 4 batteries charging at once on the parallel board, and I had another charger going, and I just kept the batteries coming, and I couldn't stop flying this little thing. It was so much fun to fly DJI indoors. And the TRON 80 outdoors is also quite fun. It has great range with the Cadex receiver, which is plugged straight into the board. So if you guys want to bind up the DJI transmitter, you can do that. It comes set up with a harness that plugs straight into the board. So this is, you know, one of those typical newer style HD transmitters, or flight controller, excuse me. And up through the trees. And if, you know, honestly, if I wanted to slow this down and do some nice kind of canopy flying, this quad will do it like one of the smaller Whoops, like the AE65. It could really get in there, and the UR, I believe it was the UR65 as well, from eSheen. Little tiny 0802 motors, but man, this thing rips on the 1103s. Look at that boost. This quad flies like a true micro brushless. It doesn't have a ton of washout. There is some jello in this tune, so I did my best to get rid of that for you guys, and I'll put the link down below for that if you guys want to check that out. Give it a shot. Save your original settings before you load mine on there, just in case you want to go back to the stock tune. And I don't know that they really changed anything in beta flight from what the stock settings were, but they had all the rates really super high on there as far as the PID numbers go. It was just too high, so I had to dial everything back a little bit. But the roll rates are very, very smooth. And again, you can increase those if you wanted to flip and roll faster. But you know, some of you guys are just getting started, so leave it just like this and just have some fun with this quad. You can get really creative with this flying ability of this quad too. It's kind of a whole nother level comparing this to some of the whoops that I've had on the channel recently. And man, I had some bad crashes today with this quad. I mean, I slam dunked it straight into the concrete. And you guys know what happens when we slam stuff into the concrete. Today it was like 30 degrees outside, super cold. It snowed today for quite a while, and it hardly ever snows in this town. So yeah, there's that. And I broke some prop guards, unfortunately. But they are making parts for the TRON 80, which is great. So you can get new prop guards. They're going to be pretty cheap, and I'll try to put a link down below for those. But man, this thing gets on it down the street. Great range with the Vista as well. I don't think I've ever fail-safed on the CADX Vista, you guys. Like, I've been testing this receiver with a DJI transmitter for so long now. I would highly recommend getting a DJI transmitter. I love mine. I didn't use it for probably like 6 months when I had it, and now I use it all the time when a Vista comes in. It's just so much fun. Either that or the new the T-Lite transmitter as well. And it made it around the house, but right there I crashed, of course.
Alright guys, welcome back from the flight test. Now let's go ahead and jump right into a camps review of the TRON 80 Whoop, which is an HD Whoop. You will need DJI goggles to fly this one. It is kind of like the Ferrari Maserati of 80mm whoops. I mean, you know, we're seeing this Vista show up on smaller and smaller quads recently, and our transmitters are also getting smaller. So this is like the perfect storm right here if you want to get a really high quality quad along with a full OpenTX 4-in-1 module interface transmitter for around $75. Get the JP 4-in-1 version. This is the one with the full-blown 4-in-1 with all like 100 different protocols in here. So you can also put Crossfire on this bad boy. It is running the Vista Nebula Nano camera on here. You can see it is a smaller format, and I think it actually looked pretty good outdoors. And I have to say, it's fairly overcast in Oregon right now, so you're looking at video from today that was like not the greatest day to be out recording, but since this little VTX on here can pump 700 milliwatt and 50 megabit, I think it looks really good in the DJI goggles, so I have no complaints there. You do have an access port down there available. You're going to have to register this unit. Once you do that, you can update it to the latest firmware, and you can get 50 megabit on here. So they also included 13 amp AIO flight controller with an F4 chip on here. It does support Crossfire, like I mentioned before. It has an F port on here for various different S-Bus receivers. So any S-Bus receiver you want to put on this quad, you can do that. XT30 in the back. Dipole that has been replaced from T-Motor. They added their own motors on here, which are the 1103 series 8000 kV T-Motor. They're the F1103 motors. Really nice high quality motors. And they are inverted, which gives this quad a better indoor flying capability. So for indoors, the coolest thing about having unobstructed motor flow under here is that it creates a really flat surface on the bottom of the quad and also stabilizes the quad for indoor flying even better than having the motors suspended above the frame, so you get interrupted airflow underneath something like that. And indoors, that's where it can really slow down and go places other quads can't go, even at this size and power system, running up to a 3S battery, which I mentioned before. I'm like, yeah, 1103s for outdoors. Well, guess what? T-Motor proved me wrong there, so I can accept my defeat. 2 and 3S, if you want to fly it on a 2S 450, you're still going to get like 4 minutes flight time out of this, indoors, flying around, cruising around, enjoying recording 50 megabit video to your DJI goggles. Also, a 3S 450 fits on there really nicely, still get you about 4.5 to 5 minutes there. And with a 3S 650, these are the OMP hobby ones. I recommend these because these are much smaller than the Tattoo 650 and the GMB versions of this battery. So I don't know how they shrunk this down, but it's great because it fits on this quad perfectly. And some of the other brands didn't fit with these straps. So these straps will accommodate this battery. This battery has been almost tacoed and crashed pretty hard. This was crashed into the concrete, and you can see it there. It kind of bent up and broke the pack, the casing on that. And the reason is that, well, number one, I broke the prop guards on mine. That's not a good thing to see in a review, but it was 30 degrees outside, so it was super cold. And I did a full-on flip crash straight into concrete on a really cold day, and it actually snowed today, so it's just a crazy day to be doing my outdoor test. And it's unfortunate that I broke the prop guard, but all the frame up here survived. And most quads on this channel, when it hits the concrete with a full-on head first crash like that, it usually does break some part of the frame or prop guards. And I was really hoping this Protect style frame wouldn't have broke on me, but I think with the temperature and the perfect slam, just did it in. The cool thing about this is that T-Motor is offering prop guards separately that you can buy. They're not going to be super expensive, and you pull these motor bolts off and put a new set of prop guards on there, and you should be all good to go there. So yeah, that's one thing that we obviously can't hide in this review, but I really like the way that they designed this with these dual support struts on the edge of each prop guard. So you've got this inner surface here, you got a strut here, here, and here. So when you're indoors, this baby just bounces off chairs and other things around your house, which is nice. So I still got a little bit of a prop guard there, but that's typically how you see regular prop guards, just with one little strut going around. And these are super thin, so they also freestyle a little better than some of the thicker ducts. So this doesn't have quite as much kind of washout to the controls of this when you're freestyling, which is pretty cool. And I have to say that for the beginners, the tune on here felt pretty soft. It was very soft. It didn't have a really fast roll rate on it, and everything was like really smooth flying around and doing flips and rolls. So it felt like a really dialed back. You can raise that up in Betaflight if you want to. So I'm going to recommend that you guys get a hold of a jumper. Order this one as fast as you can. It has the 18650, has the external module bay for Ghost or TBS Crossfire, and I believe R9 is now compatible with it. And the charger that I'm using right now is the Toolkit RC M6D with that black light breakout board from UAV. This thing is the bomb. Charge up to about 6 different batteries at once, so really, really cool. Let's go ahead now and let's just do a quick weigh-in before we end out this video. And again, I think that overall flight characteristic was great on 2S and 3S. I think the tune could be a little bit better outdoors. At the high end of the throttle, the 3S battery did give me some jello. So that's one thing that I hope that T-Motor can improve on. But we're at 68.5 grams there with an HD system on there. Isn't that cool? 80 millimeter frame. And now let's put the largest battery on there. Let's just get the largest battery on there and see where we're at. If I can get all that to balance out. And we're at 127.4 grams. That's not even 150 grams. You can still add your SMO 4K camera on there with no problem. That is really cool. So the largest battery in the bunch, really weighing in at a low weight. Now
3S450. Let's see what that gets us up to. That's going to get us up to 108.9. That's looking awesome. And now, how about a 2S450? Let's see what kind of weight here with the Tron. 99.1 grams. That's awesome. That is just crazy. So yeah, it's really light, you guys, and it's so cool to see DJI HD systems coming out for the Whoop class. I mean, I'm seeing other stuff on the forums recently of this same type of quad with a decased Vista. So yeah, so things are getting really cool and really interesting out there. If you want a really smooth, fun little cruising quad for indoors and outdoors, probably one of the nicer style HD Whoops that you can get. There's some bind and fly right now. And I have another set of prop guards coming for mine, so super excited about that. And I want to say thanks to T-Motor for sending this little bad boy over, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this sort of first look at the TRON 80 Whoop HD. I will include my PID tune down below, and if you want to load it up on yours, it has drastically different numbers than what this one came with. It might fly a little better. If you want to push it a little further and make it a little better for the community, you can do that, and also share it in the comments down below. And let's hear your comments down below. Let me know what you think about the TRON 80. If you think it's a cool trend and you hope to see more HD sub 100 gram Whoops out there. This is just too much fun. So thanks again for watching, guys. I'm Justin Davis. Please do subscribe on the channel, and I'll bring you more cool new releases in the drone community. Take care. Bye-bye.